Hey, so Ed Mothershed, that's me. I'm here to talk about the emissions test. So, the emissions test, if you don't know what it is, that's the test that you take your car in when you get your plate sticker. Here in Illinois, that's what we do. And you take it in for so your car can pass for the emissions of all the, say, if your car, to make sure that it is properly taken care of so that it won't emit poisons into the air. And so you have to make sure everything is operational and also that your engine light is not on. If the engine light is on, chances are you won't pass the emissions test because there's something going on where it's not causing or having it have a positive flow or a clean flow for clean emissions going out into the atmosphere, into the air. So this year was my turn to do the emissions tests. And what had happened was I didn't realize my plate sticker had expired. Now, if you they do send you a notice before your plate expires so you can take that test if it's due. Uh, I remember back in the day, I thought it was every 5 years, the emissions test, but I know you have to for sure take it every 2 years. Now it seemed to have been narrowed down to now some cars once a year. So I guess they said it depends on the car. I don't have that information if it's an older car or a newer car, but depending on what year the car was made, that's when or how often you have to do your emissions test. Me, my car is a 2018, so I hadn't done it in like 2 years, I believe. So, but I'm scheduled to take an emissions test next year because this year my plate expired. And then when I took the emissions test, I failed the emissions test, which I kind of knew I would, but I needed to know exactly what was wrong. Now, normally they'll give you when you go to the emissions test and you take it. If you fail, they will show you what it was that you failed in, and then you need to go to a mechanic and get it checked out. And then the mechanic needs to fix it. And once they fix it, they need to sign off on the emissions sheet that was given to you at the emissions testing place when you failed, and it says that you failed and everything. So at the bottom, the mechanic has to sign off on it that they fixed it. Now they won't sign off on it until they make sure they fix everything and your light is off. And they do take a test to see the flow and to make sure that you'll be able to pass your emissions test. So when you drive away from the mechanic, supposedly your car is ready to take the emissions test. So what happened was with me, and what the thing is too, we're talking about money. Not only do you have to spend money to fix your car, but you got to spend money to buy the new plate sticker. And so this is an important thing to make sure it doesn't expire and that you get all this stuff fixed before the plate sticker expires. So my thing was I waited to the last minute. But the thing was, luckily, I had the funds to pay for the mechanic, and I was able to pay for the plate sticker. Now, meantime, if you don't say do the emissions test and don't do the plate sticker, you will accumulate tickets from the police. And then eventually, from what I hear, they can suspend your license. I'm not sure, don't quote me on that. But the whole thing is you'll end up getting a boot eventually, and the tickets run high. And I believe someone told me they could suspend your license. I'm not sure, so don't quote me on that one. I'm glad I didn't even get that far. But going back to the mechanic, so I failed the emissions test as I knew I would, but I thought there was only one thing wrong because I remember there was one thing wrong with my car, and because also if say before you go to the emissions test, if you want to say if your engine light comes on, here's a freebie, and here's some a good tip. If you don't know, you can go to like an O'Reilly's or one of the auto parts stores, and a lot of times they will have a free diagnostic test, and they can kind of tell you what's functioning, what's malfunctioning, what's going on. If your engine light is on, they can definitely tell you why, it's possibly why it's on, but you still have to go to a mechanic to find out how to fix that problem, because it may be something, say, in the gas line, but you don't know exactly what part of the gas line or what it is that is malfunctioning, but it will kind of indicate the gas line. So in my case, there was, I think I had some type of, what do they call it? It was some kind of electronic failure, and it was with something that had to do with my gas line, and it was like an indicator or something that malfunctioned. So they were like, as far as we can see, we think it's just this, indicator. So when I went to the emissions test, not only was it that, but I had two other malfunctions now, because before I didn't have that. So I had to get these three things fixed out of everything, three things instead of one. So when I went to the mechanic, found out this, the great thing is that they weren't that expensive. Everything kind of I think it went up to about $400, about $300 for three things. What was costly was, for my car, there was this one piece that I had to buy. I went to the regular auto parts store, bought the type that was for my car. When I brought it to the mechanic to fix it, because I have it to where I can go buy the part and the mechanic and I'll just really pay for the labor. And what I did was I went and bought a part, and then come to buy this part that was $55, and it wasn't the right exact part that goes to my car. It was the right one for my car, my year, the model, and everything, but some reason something still was different. So what I had to do was go to the dealership where I bought the car, and they had the part, and that was the exact one that fitted my car perfectly. So I went there, and guess what? That one was $145. We're talking about $100, almost $100 more. By the time it went to taxes, it was like 153, I think, 56, I forgot. But it's like almost $100. So now, not only did I spend $100 more because of a part that didn't exist at the regular auto store, and then two, at some of the stores, they were out of that part. You would have to order it, so I didn't have time for that. My car was literally in the shop, and I was going to different places trying to find the part. And then I needed to go to the emissions test as soon ASAP before I got a ticket. So what I did was I ended up buying that, and then finally my mechanic, he put it in, and then tried it. And so instead of, like, when they fix it, instead of you going straight to emissions, they want you to drive it for a little bit. They want you to drive it because, they need to make sure that it's properly working. Not only that, that part they got fixed, it doesn't register right away. It doesn't register right away that it's fixed. It takes a little driving and a little bit of the, gas and emission, whatever it is, it needs to flow through the system, the fuel system. So sometimes it takes a little bit of driving around to make sure that the car is like, say, the flow of the emissions and is properly, is like clean. The flow of your fuel is going through properly, that all the gadgets that was causing that light to come on, everything is flowing now. So you have to drive it around for a period of time before it actually registers. So again, the emissions place are the ones who told me before that that you need to do this. And so now, when my mechanic fixed it, instead of signing off on it, he's like, take it home drive it a little bit. The drive home should do it, but bring it back tomorrow. The drive here should do it. He was like, even come back on the freeway because I'm maybe 30 minutes away. He said, come on the freeway, let it, flow, and we'll see where we're at. So I did that and ended up bringing it. No, I did that. I went home. About a few hours later, went out, and the light came back on. I was livid about it. I was tripping. The light came back on. And now I have to take it back. And I know he has to look at it. He has to fix something. And, luckily during this whole time too, I was on vacation. So luckily it wasn't like I was working and had to bring it back before work or whatever. I was able to have a lot of time to fix this. It's just luck. I just got lucky. So I ended up taking it back to him the next day. And then I had to tell him the light came back on. So, before I get into that, because he had to put it back on the diagnostic machine, there's another tidbit that I didn't mention about diagnostic machines, where I was saying you can find them at O'Reilly and these different other, auto mechanic stores like that, and they should offer it. If you have to pay for that, don't go there, go to somewhere else, because most of them offer it for free. The tidbit that I didn't mention was that they sell gadgets that diagnostic gadgets on Amazon, that different kinds that you can go online and get, so you don't have to go to the mechanic or go to an auto parts store. You'll know what is wrong already, and that way you can go straight to your mechanic and tell them, hey, my engine light is on. This is what my diagnostic machine said. Hey, can you take a look at there first? Even though they're going to put it on there anyway, but at least you'll have some knowledge and they'll know you have knowledge of what's going on and what's broken. So they don't try to hit you with other parts and other things that are malfunctioning, that they may say is malfunctioning. So that was a tidbit I didn't mention, that you can find your own diagnostic checking machine or gadget on Amazon instead of going to the auto parts store. So I go back to my mechanic. He looks at, everything again. He sees the engine light is on. He's shaking his head. And so he looks in there, and so there's this malfunctioning part that I think he put in that was brand new. Luckily, it had a warranty on it, so I didn't have to pay anything extra. And by the way, if you have to keep going back, certain things you shouldn't have to pay for if the mechanic either didn't catch it, or if it was their fault, or if it was something that they overlooked. You shouldn't have to pay for that. So luckily, I didn't have to pay for it. He mentioned it that, I didn't have to pay for it, but luckily we didn't get into that conversation about paying. Because sometimes if you don't, they'll make you pay. And then if you do, it's uncomfortable, to talk about that sometimes. But you have to do what you have to do to get it fixed. So the part that I needed, I didn't have to pay for it. So he ended up reordering it, and they brought it right away. And then he was trying to put the part in. And then he comes back and he's saying he has a problem, another problem. So now this problem, he created it on accident. He broke the screw or something that screws the part in. He broke it. It broke on him. That's what he told me. But he said it's possible that it's fixable. Now, instead of he couldn't, whatever it is, he couldn't buy it and replace it. At this point, he has to weld that piece on. So I said, look, if you got to weld it on, go ahead and weld it. I just need it fixed. Weld it. I'll worry about it later if it ever comes up. If there's another problem, I just have to worry about it later. But I need that light off. I need that light off. You need to weld it, do what you need to do, get that light off. so I can pass this emissions test, so I can get the plate sticker, so I don't accumulate any tickets from the police and don't get my license revoked or whatever, or suspended or whatever, because that's what I hear. I don't know, but I don't want to get to that point. Fix it. So he's fine. He's like, fine. It doesn't cost me anything. It's okay. He's gonna do what he can. So he went back in there, back in the operating room, and he fixed it. He got that light off and he said, hey, it's on there, it's fixed, it'll be okay. I'm like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah. And then I'm like, oh, can you sign it? And he's like, no, I can't. You have to drive it again, take it home, drive it a little bit, then bring it back. Because remember, every time they fix it, it needs to be driven to make sure the light doesn't come on and to make sure nothing's malfunctioning after that. Like, something might overheat, something might, break, burst, anything. I don't know. So again, remember, I done made about 3 or 4 trips back and forth to this mechanic. And he's good. Don't get me wrong, he's good. Even at that point, he was like, you know what? Your car doesn't like me. It just doesn't like me. Your car hates me. Because every time I look up, something's going on with it when I'm fixing it. So I'm like, I know. And I have a Ford Fiesta, so it's like one of them cars you would think, American car, that you just think that would be an easy fix, right? Right? No. Not my car. 2018. It's not even that old. Old. So anyway, I said fine. So I take it. I'm nervous the whole time. A light nervous, not too much, but just like uncomfortably like, oh, is this thing gonna come on? Please, I pray, stay off. So I drove it around a little bit. Someone else actually drove my car that next day. Then later on, I brought the car back. The light was still off. Brought the car back. He put it through his diagnostic check, and he was like, you pass here. Everything passed, so I'll sign off on it. I said, thank you. So he signed it, and then as soon as he signed it, I went straight to the emissions test. I went straight there, and I was praying that this light didn't come on, because it was like a 25-minute drive. So I'm sitting there praying, and then I'm in line, and I'm like, can I make it up there to the front? Because I want to do this before that light comes on. So I get there. I think it was a young man or a lady at the time, because I had both. I think the second time was a young man. He put it through. He's like, stand over there, come back, boom. He's like, all right, you just have to come back in a year, in 26. I was like, what? I thought it was 2 years. He's like, yeah. He's like, now, under the new rules and yeah. He said after that, it'd probably be 2 years. I think it's because I failed the test, and they want to make sure next year that it's okay still, so I might have to come back the following year. But anyway, he said that I passed, so that was the most important thing, that I passed. And then also, he just told me, that I had to come back in 26, because it's 2025, y'all. Happy New Year. And so he told me I just have to come back and, get it looked at. And that's where he was telling me certain cars, certain years, it's different for everybody. So, and then he said after I come back in 26, then it'll be another 2 years, is what he said. But I'll find out when I come back in 26. So after I left there, I didn't buy my sticker right away, because guess what? I didn't have enough money to do that. My budget didn't allow me to buy the new sticker. So I had to wait to another payday and hope I didn't, that I could stay under the police radar everywhere that I went, everywhere that I was traveling. And I did. I got lucky. I was still on vacation. I think I had 2 days left after going back to work for payday. And so I just ended up buying it then. Yeah, because the money I spent on the mechanic was part of the money in my budget. And a lot of times I'm just so adamant about not going outside of my budget, so I have extra spending money, at least if an emergency comes up. And yes, in case I have to do, anything that I have to pay cash or whatever, emergency. So anyway, I got everything fixed, finally got my sticker, put that sticker on there. End of story. So with the emissions, make sure you get it taken care of right away, because you got to remember there's a budget for it and you don't know how much it's going to cost you to fix anything. So you want to make sure that you do this before your plate sticker expires. Get the engine light taken care of. And I know there's some folks out there that know what I'm talking about, that you rode that car with that engine light on until it was time for emissions, and you didn't have the money to pay for the mechanic, or you didn't have the money to pay for the sticker, because that sticker was like $181 or something. Yeah, it cost a nice little penny. So I spent a total of like $600, 500 and some, $600 to get it fixed plus the sticker. So if this was helpful, subscribe and click like, because I'm gonna, try to share some more experiences that I've had. But this was the emissions experience with the emissions. I am not a professional of any of the stuff I'm talking about. I'm just telling you my experience and what I went through, and giving you the information, because no one gave me a lot of this information, or no one mentioned it. Maybe this is a reminder for some of you out there. A reminder. Go get that car fixed before you hit the emissions test, because now not only are you subjected to that of the car not being fixed, and you're in the money, you can accumulate more. You can accumulate tickets and have your license possibly suspended. So before you even get there, get it fixed. All right. This is Ed checking. See you later. Not checking out.